Hey everyone, my name is Brian Mitrof. I'm a senior solutions consultant here at Engaging.io, and today I'll be running through the lead scoring tool within HubSpot. So for this video, I want to discuss more about what lead scoring is in general, how the lead scoring tool within HubSpot works, how to set up a lead scoring model within HubSpot, and showing the overall benefits of using lead scoring within your HubSpot account. So before we get started, I wanted to run through a quick definition of what lead scoring is. So lead scoring is essentially a methodology used to rank leads based on their readiness to buy. It assigns a numeric value or score to each lead based on certain attributes or behaviors, like job title, company size, website visits, email engagements, and much more. So HubSpot's lead scoring tool brings this methodology to life by letting you automatically calculate and apply scores to leads using your CRM data. This makes it easier to prioritize the contacts most likely to convert and ensures your sales teams focus on the right people at the right time. And so how it works within HubSpot is that a lead scoring model is then created via the lead scoring tool, which you see on the screen here, that then allows you to score contacts based off of their engagement with your marketing collateral, based on their unique characteristics such as job title, state, or industry, or a combination of the two. Once the scoring model is finalized, HubSpot then creates its own property for the model that will then show the contact's current score, which I'll show later in the video. You can then set up both positive and negative criteria that either increase or decrease a contact score. So for example, positive criteria can include contacts who opened 3+ marketing emails within a month, for example, or they could have visited a specific pricing page on your website. They may have downloaded a specific content offer, such as a white paper or an ebook, or they work within a targeted industry. The negative criteria could include items such as contacts unsubscribed from emails. They're marked as a student, so someone who's not part of who you're trying to target. They're a competitor, so maybe it's their competitor email that's been picked up, or they haven't really engaged with your website or marketing collateral for a certain period of time. So that'll be the main two ways that you can go about setting up both positive and negative scoring. And so HubSpot continuously updates the lead score based on this logic in real time. So as people are interacting or not interacting with certain marketing collateral, or they're not meeting certain standards within your lead scoring, that score will fluctuate over time. Then, of course, with the professional and enterprise tiers, you can then create custom score properties for different pipelines or buyer personas, giving you even more flexibility in your lead scoring. So the way that you can access this lead scoring tool within HubSpot is on the left-hand panel here. When you hover over and then under marketing, it'll be under lead scoring. When you click here, it'll take you to this main lead scoring page. So this will show you the current lead scoring models that are currently built within HubSpot. So you'll see under this demo account, my coworkers and I have been building out some demo lead scoring models as part of this here. But what you're able to also see is that you're able to filter these lead scoring models based off of the specific scored objects. So this can be contact, company, or deal. The score type, so this will be either fit, engagement, or combined. I'll go into a little more detail about this later on. For status, you can check and see if it's either on or off, or some additional advanced filters. So gives you a quick way to filter out these specific lead scoring models that you want to view under this current view. But in terms of creating a new lead scoring model, what you'll do is go ahead and click Create Score near the top here. From here, you're then able to select the specific object that you would like to associate your score under. So you can choose from whether it's going to be the contacts object, the company's object, or the deals object. As you can see, as I'm flipping through these three options for contacts and companies, they have the same options in terms of the specific score style that you can create. However, for the deal object, you can see that it's going to be centered more specifically on a deal score itself. So just to keep that in mind there's going to be some differences depending on the object that you select. But for contacts, for example, you'll see that there's 3 different models of lead scoring that we can choose from. So I'll go through the second and third one here and then tie that back directly to the first one. So for contact engagement score, this is going to basically measure the contact's level of engagement based on their behavior and interactions. So what this means is that their score will increase or decrease depending on the specific actions they take for your marketing collateral. So this can include engagement with emails that you've sent out, any form submissions that they've taken, specific web page views on your website, and so on and so forth. So as they engage more with your content, their scoring can increase. However, if there is any sort of decaying score settings within the lead scoring model, which I'll go into a little bit further in the video, so say, for example, they haven't really engaged with your website for a while, or they haven't clicked on an email for a certain period of time, that score can also decrease as time goes on. So you're able to do that based off of this model here. For contact fit score, this essentially lets you evaluate how closely a contact aligns with your ideal customer based on demographics and other criteria. So instead of focusing specifically on the actions that someone is taking with your marketing collateral, this is more in terms of their personal information and their demographic. So this can include their industry that they work in, their job title, where they live, the number of employees within their company, and so on and so forth. So kind of more just information about them that you're scoring off of rather than the specific actions that they are taking. And then, of course, to tie this back to the first one here, which is the contact combined score, this one allows you to measure the contact's level of engagement and how they align to your ideal customer. So this one essentially combines both the engagement score and the fit score models together under one specific model. So that way you're able to design a score off of both of those models there. So instead of having it just be tied to one specific model, so only being specific to maybe like engagements, for example, it can just include both. So that way you're able to score off of that a little more accurately. So depending on the model that works best for you, you would go ahead and just select it here. So in this example, I'll go ahead and stick with contact combined score. And then from here, I can go ahead and click create. Okay, so now we're in the lead scoring builder. So with this tool here, you're able to go ahead and start building out the rules needed for your lead scoring model. So since I've chosen to combine both the event groups and property groups within this model, I have the ability to choose either one as part of building out my model here. So I'll go ahead and start off with event group. So this will be based off of the specific actions that someone has taken on my website, such as form submissions, marketing email opens, and so on. So before we get into building out the model itself, there are a couple of lead scoring rules that you need to keep in mind when you're building out the model itself. So what you'll notice is that when I created this new group here, there's a couple of sections that allow you to adjust the scoring numbers themselves. So for this portion here, this is what essentially is the score limit of the entire lead scoring model itself. So what it means is that with the different number of actions that I have associated with the lead scoring model, everything should equal up to at most the total number of points associated here in this dropdown. So if I were someone who were to go through a variety of different criteria as part of this model, and I reach a score of 500, I will not go past the score of 500 points. So this will be the total number of points that will be associated to my score based off of the specific actions or demographic information I have tied to it. So this will be the limit that you have set here. You can have this set from 100 to 500 points, depending on the number of actions that you either have tied to your lead scoring model or the specific scores that you have set for each action or demographic information someone has associated with them. So in this case here, I can go ahead and just have it set to 100. So this will be the highest value that someone can be assigned in terms of this lead scoring model itself. In terms of the group score itself here, what this will be is the total number of points that someone can be assigned depending on the specific criteria in each group here. So in this case, I can have this set to 50 points as an example. And what you'll notice is that when I switch it to 50 points, it'll go ahead and show the number of points remaining that will be associated for other groups. So what you'll need to keep in mind is that if you have this set here to 100 points, you'll need to go ahead and ensure that depending on the total number of groups that you have built out within your model, that the group score limit for each of them all equal up to this total amount of 100 points. So if I only had two groups, for example, one would be 50 points and then the other would be 50 points as well. So just to keep that in mind is that with the total number of points here, you want to make sure that they all equal up to the total number that you have associated here at the top left. HubSpot will let you know, and I believe it won't let you continue with either updating or publishing the lead scoring model until it does equal up. So just to keep that in mind, that those are the main two factors you want to kind of keep an eye on as you're building out the model itself. So with that out of the way, what we can do here is go ahead and start building out one of the groups that we have associated. So in this case here, I will go ahead and focus on the event of web page views. So if I wanted to go ahead and just focus on that specifically for this group here, I could go ahead and label this as web page views, which will go ahead and just kind of make the process of adding filters and groups a little more organized, which I'll show later on. So once this has been renamed, I can go ahead and click add event criteria to go ahead and search for the web page portion of this. Of course, there are other event criteria that you can score off of based off of ad interactions, calls, CTAs, form submissions, and so on. So depending on what you would like to score off of, you can select that option here, and then from there, go through the steps of adding the specific criteria and filters. So for here, I will go ahead and search for web events. From here, I will then go ahead under this event and update this to page visited. And then from here, I can either decide to add more details in terms of the specific page they viewed itself. So I can do that under the filter event. If I want to add a specific time frame, so maybe if they visited a page within the last month or within a specific time frame itself, I can do that through this add time frame option here. Or if I want to do the scoring based off of the frequency, I can do that as well. So maybe they visited a page at least 3 times. Then I can go ahead and assign a certain number of points based off of the number of times they visited a page itself or a more specific page in general. So I'll go ahead and stick with the filter event. And then from here, I can go ahead and select the specific filter that I would like to have associated with this here. So I can have this be the URL passed, for example, and maybe I want it to score based off of someone viewing the contact us page. So if I want to go ahead and then select an operator is equal or contains any of, and then I can add the value contact us as an example. So from that here, what this will mean is that if they visited a URL that contained a path of contact us, I could then go ahead and, at this case, 1 point to their lead score in general. Of course, I can update this score with a higher score as needed. So if I want to go ahead and add to maybe 15 or 10 points, for example, I can go ahead and do so as well. And then, of course, if I wanted to kind of add a couple more filters to this, I can go ahead and add frequency. And maybe I want to say that they visited the contact us page at least 3 times, kind of showing that they really are interested or like thinking about reaching out to us. I can go ahead and have that filter as well. And from that there, it will go ahead and move the point adjustment here. So I can go ahead and update this to now add 15 points, just so that way you're able to add a little more detail based off of a high value action that someone takes. So in this case here, the more times that they've interacted with the contact us page, I can then assign them a higher score based off of this criteria here. So this is one example that we can have for the web events itself. So I will go ahead and leave this as is. Since I'm only having 15 points here, I can go ahead and either decide to update the group scoring limit based off of the total number of actions here, as well as just the number of points that each other action associated with this group is associated with, or I can leave it as is. So I can go ahead and leave it actually. If I want to go ahead and add more events to this group here, I can go ahead and do so. Otherwise, if I want to maybe focus on a different group, I can go ahead and just move this up here. So if I click this arrow, it'll go ahead and just collapse this section here. And then I can go ahead and either choose a new event group or I can add a property group. So in this case, I'll go ahead and add a property group. This will be, again, the demographic information that is associated with the contact record. So for this case here, maybe I want to focus on the location, maybe where they're located in general. So with this here, what I can do is go ahead and click add object. I can then go ahead and choose whether I want to focus on the main contact object itself, or if I wanted to focus on an associated object. So if they're associated with a specific company, a specific deal, and so on and so forth, I can go ahead and score off of that as well. But in this case here, I'll focus on contact. For here, I will then go ahead and search for location-based properties based off of what's currently set up within HubSpot. So if I wanted to search for state region, I will go ahead then and then select an operator to where it is equal to any of, and then I can add specific values here. So if I wanted to add California, where I live, for example, I can do that. I can also have it set to this as well, depending on how the data is being saved under that specific property. And of course, if I wanted to add maybe Minnesota, for example, I'm currently working out of Minnesota right now. I can go ahead and do that. And then if I wanted to continually add more values to this, I can just go ahead and type them out and then hit the comma button to go ahead and just have it saved as a new section here. So I can have that portion be the case here. And then once that is set, I can then choose how many points I want to have assigned to these specific values here. So I can go ahead and say maybe 5 points as an example. If I want to even go ahead and score these individually, I can do so as well. So if I click score individually, I can go ahead and add specific values to each one of these sections here. Otherwise, if I want to go ahead and just have them have the same score regardless, I can go ahead and go back to score together. So we'll have that set there. And maybe I also want to add essentially another group in terms of maybe the country, for example. So if I go ahead and add actually not a group, sorry, go ahead and delete that. it would actually be a new object. Let me see if I go ahead and click new object. This would be actually for the country. So if I go ahead and select country, or country region, I should say, I would then go ahead and select contains any of USA, United States, or US, kind of depending on how the data is being saved within your system. And of course, you can go ahead and add additional countries as needed. And then from here, you're able to go ahead and adjust the points here. So I can also add an additional 5 points. So that way this will equal up to a total of 10 points if I meet the criteria here. Of course, if there are any specific countries, so if there's countries outside of where you provide your services, you can also change this from add to subtract points. So if you don't focus on working in the United States, you can go ahead and subtract a certain number of points from the score here. So just keep in mind you are able to adjust whether you want to add or subtract points through this drop down here. And then, of course, if you want to go ahead and add additional criteria, you would just go ahead and select add object again. And then from here, select whether you want to focus on the contact object or some of the other objects, and then go from here. So with this being the case, what you'll notice here is that with this second group created, I now have this equal up to the 100 points as outlined here. And then I can decide whether I want to go ahead and make adjustments to the scoring values here, kind of depending on the total number of actions that I have set up with under each group, or if I want to leave them as is. So as you're building out the model, you'll be able to go ahead and go back, make some adjustments as needed, depending on the group score limit itself, as well as what's currently assigned to number of points for each of the fields here. One thing to note is that the number of points here don't need to equal up exactly to the group score limit. This is just to limit the total number of points associated with the actions under this group here. So I could leave these as 5 points as example, and then from there, it wouldn't lead to any issues outside of it just not meeting the group score limit or passing it. But just to keep in mind that these don't have to equal up specifically to the group score limit if you don't want it to be. So with this done here, if this is kind of a simple model that I have created here, but if all of this looks good, what you can then go ahead and do is move on to the next section here, which is the contact section. So the contact section allows you to target more specifically who you want the lead scoring model to be associated with. So in this case here, you can either choose whether you want to have the lead scoring model target all of the contacts within your database, or if you want to score specific contacts instead. From here, you're then able to choose a specific list to either include or exclude depending on the option that you've chosen. So for score all contacts, if I want to exclude a certain list of contacts that I don't want to have be scored as part of this model, I can go ahead and do so through here by selecting the list from here. If instead I want to go ahead and just score a specific set of contacts or a specific list of contacts within my HubSpot database, I can go ahead and choose this option here. And then from here, go ahead and choose the specific list I want to target. So in this case here, I will go ahead and just add a list that just targets a sample record that I have, which will show the scoring in action once we have it activated. So with this setup here, it'll go ahead and only target my contact record for now. So with that setup here, we can then move on to the settings portion of the model. So from here, you're then able to go ahead and adjust the property label of the model itself. So once you create the lead scoring model or activate it, it will go ahead and create a custom property that will hold the value of the record's current lead scoring value, or value itself, I should say. From there, you are able to go ahead and easily access it through their contact record in this case, or if you want to use it in other areas of HubSpot, such as workflows, reporting, custom personalization tokens in that sense, you can go ahead and do so as well. So this allows you to go ahead and adjust the name of the lead scoring model itself, or in terms of that here. And then from here, you have the ability to adjust the name of the fit score value and the engagement score value. So since I selected the model to include both of these, I have the ability to go about adjusting the name of both of these here. So if I wanted to go ahead and make this update to this here to remove that section, I can go ahead and do that here. And then from here, that would be all set to go. And then finally, the last adjustment to make here is the score threshold settings here. So this is another property that is created once you activate the lead scoring model that will go ahead and set a specific threshold to the either the fit threshold or the engagement threshold based off of how you have them set here. So as we scroll down here, you're able to go ahead and make adjustments to what would be classified as either A, B, or C in terms of the fit threshold. So if we have it set from 30 to 50 points as example, they would be set as A. If it's 15 to 29, they would be set to B, and then so on and so forth. So the maximum number of points here is correlated to what you have set under your model. So for the fit and engagement, since I have them set to both 50, the total maximum as part of those settings there would be 50 from here. So this will adjust based off of how you have your model set up. But of course, you are able to adjust the thresholds based off of what specific label they should receive in terms of how many points they have associated for either, in this case here, either the fit threshold or the engagement threshold. And so you're able to see here a little more details in terms of how this works that HubSpot provides here. And then, of course, you are able to adjust the score threshold label here. So if I wanted to go ahead and make that adjustment here as well to this here, I can go ahead and do so. And then this would be all set to go. So I want to make any adjustments here in this case. So once everything is good to go, I would just go ahead and click save just to reconfirm that everything is set there. And then I can go ahead and click review and turn on. So from here, it'll go ahead and give me a quick run through of what is currently set up at the moment, who it's going to be scoring off of, and the score type itself. And then from here, it'll give you a quick explanation of what happens after you turn the score on. So essentially, new properties are created as soon as you turn the scoring on, kind of as previously mentioned. The score is then calculated, so it'll go ahead and retroactively score all contacts that you decide to choose, whether you select either all contacts or specific contacts. It'll go ahead and retroactively add a score to them based off of past interactions that meet the criteria of your model. And then from here, as time goes on and they're either interacting with other marketing content or specific demographic information is updated, the score will continuously adjust as time goes on. So once that is all looking good here, you would go ahead and click turn on. And then from here, it will take a little bit of time depending on the number of contacts that are being scored based off of this here. This does gives you just some next steps that you can take based off of the scoring model that you have created. And as you can see here on my example contact record on the right side here, there is a lead scoring section, which then shows the new model that has been activated. So you'll see here in my total score currently, which is 50 points. And then from here, it'll show a breakdown of the total number of points associated with fit versus engagement. So I only have, for fit score, I have about 50 points here. And then for engagement, I have 0. And then it'll show here within the last 30 days, the total number of adjustments in terms of the points, whether it increased or decreased. You can also see a score history from this section here. So right now it's not really showing too much, but over time, as engagements happen and values change, what will happen is just an overall line chart essentially showing a increase or decrease of the score as part of the current model that you have set up. So this is a great way to see how someone is moving through your lead scoring model, depending on the specific actions or demographic information that they have associated with them. So hopefully from this video, you're able to see how powerful lead scoring can be when it comes to targeting the right people at the right time and learn more about how to engage with your business. Thanks for watching and have a great day.